we are tying Ken Morris's Anato Peacock. Begin with a Tiemco 3761. This is in a size 16. We're using a 1/16 inch black tungsten bead. Thread we're using is black 8/0, a black 8/0 thread. Uni, whatever you want to use. Tie it in behind the eye and bring it back to the bend of the hook. I got a little bit of a bump at the back end of this just to lift those and separate those pheasant tail fibers. And I've got 3 pheasant tail fibers I'm going to tie in there. The length of the tail is about 3/4 the length of the shank of the hook. Now I've got some red wire in a small. Now I'm opening up my thread a little bit just so I get a little flatter so I don't cut through any of these materials, especially the pheasant tail is easy to cut through with the thread. Now I've got some crystal flash, and this is in Peacock. And it's going to be my, sit as my wing case, as well as the case over the top of the abdomen. And it's going to be my legs also, so a 3-in-1. I'm just trying to get those fibers to sit on the top of the hook. It's got a little twist in it, so it has a tendency to go where it wants to go. It's not as cooperative, but we'll get there. And I've tied everything, lashed everything down, bring it up back behind the eye, and then trim off that extra peacock. Or excuse me, pheasant. Now I'm going to take some plain old peacock herl and tie it in at the back, and that's going to become my abdomen as well as my thorax. I'm bringing that thread not behind the bead, but just into the thorax area. Now I'm wrapping that peacock herl in concentric circle, touching concentric wraps, and just working my way up to the thorax area. I'm going to tie off, but I'm going to leave the rest of that peacock herl there. And then I'm going to pull my fibers over, my crystal flash, so it becomes the top portion of my abdomen. And it's interesting with the crystal flash, since you pull on it, when you pull, it's got twist in it, but when you pull on it, it flattens out for you. Now I'm going to take my red wire and palmer it up into the thorax area. I usually get about 3 or 4 wraps. Once again, this is in red and small. I tie off my wire and cut off the excess, or twist off the excess. Now I'm going to take those crystal flash strands and pull them back into the abdomen area and then tie them down. And then I'm going to use that as my wing case. Now take that peacock curl and I'm going to wrap it pretty dense, pretty thick in there so I get a thickened area for the thorax area. And tie off that peacock curl and trim the excess. Now pull those crystal flash fibers or strands over the top. It flattens out again, and that's my wing case. Now I'm going to take those. I got six strands of crystal flash, and I'll split it into 3 and pull them back, and then tie it down, and those become my legs. So I'm pulling them down into the back. And tying them down. And they become my legs. Now where I trim is probably an eye or 2 behind the thorax area. They're not going to stick out really long, but in the water they really show up really well. Anyways, though, you don't even need to do that, especially with all of that peacock curl, but hey, we've got to put legs on it. I'm going to whip finish. And trim my thread. And that is Morris's Anato Peacock.